Okay, Gerhart City Council work session for strategic direction and goal setting is called to order for June 30th, 2026. And to start off, I'm going to turn it over to Paulina as she's been working all the time with Dawn at Badlands. So, Paulina.
Thank you all for attending and attending virtually. I really, after the bond, after Chad's eval, which was fairly recently, and the budget process, all of those things made me feel very strongly that we needed to have some sort of a session to kind of do a reset. Think about all of the pressures we're under which are mostly financial, and just try and chart a path forward that obviously we want the residents to be behind, and of course all of us, that's part of it too. It's a goal setting and strategic direction discussion. We're not trying to replace the comp plan in any way, shape, or form. These are my opinions. Staff is here to provide information, which is some of which is in the packet after the agenda. And they will also, towards the end of this session, council will have questions about things that we come up with that we will need more information, probably again, financial types of information, but they're also here to be aware of what we need and be prepared to get those answers for us. Council will set the priorities. During our first discussion, I just want you to think about separating what the city needs, whether it's the residents or the employees, but it's all the city, from how we might pay for those things. We will get to paying for things a little bit later. And just bear in mind, we can't do everything at once. Chad, you want to go over the next couple of pages, and that really starts on page 6, I believe, is where we're going to pick up and go through what staff has said are their main pressure points.
Sure. So, strategic direction. We do have a lot of individual issues in front of us: facilities, parks, revenue, services, staffing, infrastructure, public communication. But they're all connected back to the same question: what kind of city are we trying to maintain? What level of service are we realistically able to provide? There's a bit of a disconnect with the residents of Gerhart. I'm not reading that. I'm saying that just.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I know you're looking for page.
I'm going.
I thought we were going from page 6, but.
One of the things I discussed also with Justine earlier today, and it's like we talked about is what does Gerhart actually want from its city government? We hear concerns about buildings, parks, public safety, livability, tourism, taxes, service levels, but we don't have a clear shared answer about what residents value most or what they're willing to fund. And I think that also became evident during the election, right? I mean, here it is, we think we're on the right path, or we're on a path here to try to fix some of these issues, and yet we lose. So there's a bit of a disconnect there. So going through this, talking about what the staffing needs are, what the snapshots of each individual department in town are, just to give you a better idea of what we're dealing with and where we think things are going. And then together we can help trying to close this gap. These summaries are intended to help identify major service, staffing, facility, equipment, reserve, financial pressures over the next 2 to 5 years. They're not final budget requests. Some of these items are gonna take different cost estimations. We're gonna have to really delve into what each one of these items, are gonna take and how we would do it and how important they are. But if you look at this, I laid it out for each department through conversations that I had with staff. Police department main pressures, police service demand is increasing. The department is operating with a limited staffing depth. That's the way that we've always done things here. Aging vehicles, facility limitations, and reoccurring technology and equipment. Technology is becoming a bigger deal to Gearhart. It's much more expensive than we thought it was going to be, and we're a little bit behind on a lot of that. And we're not trying to be fancy with this technology thing will come up in a few different areas. We're not trying to be fancy. We're just trying to do work along with the other organizations in the community and in the state, and then what their demands are for our data and our information. And that has become very expensive. One of the major issues in the police department, reserve funding issue. One patrol vehicle is currently 11 years old, and looking at a fully equipped replacement vehicle may cost approximately $75,000 to $85,000 all in. Council should consider a predictable annual police car reserve contribution of approximately $30,000 to $40,000, plus approximately $5,000 to $15,000 per year for recurring equipment, technology, and safety needs. There, for a long time, we were putting money into the reserve accounts in all areas. But one of the issues, one of the things that has gotten us is personnel and the cost, the personnel cost for folks. And that has prevented us from, that's been a major part of getting our personnel put together. It's been a major part of us not being able to fund the reserve accounts anymore. Facility and equipment issues. The facility needs remain, including an interview space, private reporting space, evidence storage, and better operational layout. Equipment needs include vehicle outfitting, e-ticket capability, cameras, computers, radios, safety equipment, and recurring software costs. Under staffing and service issue, we've discussed that, and future options may include a fourth officer, a reserve officer, or a part-time administrative evidence support tech. Retention and competitiveness should remain part of the long-term discussion. So the takeaway for police is their needs are not limited to building, to a building, vehicle replacement, staffing capacity, retention, equipment, technology, and service demand all need long-term plan. So that's police. Fire is much the same. Volunteer recruitment and retention is the fire department's top priority. Again, according to all estimates, they're probably saving us $2 million a year. Volunteers are. If you look at other departments that are similar in size, similar in cost to us, $2 million a year. So volunteer recruitment and retention is our top priority. The department has a strong core volunteer group, but the model depends on continued investments in volunteers, training, apparatus, gear, and station safety. We have a reserve funding issue there as well. Future apparatus replacement needs to be planned now, especially engine 2923. Type 1 engine can cost approximately $1 million or more. Type 3 apparatus may be closer to $500,000 to $600,000. It's just a different way we fight fire. Stronger apparatus and equipment reserve planning is needed. I think our last fire vehicle was about $400,000 outfitted. That same vehicle today is over $1 million. Facility and equipment issues, station needs remain, including bay doors, decontamination, shower facilities, ventilation, gear storage, bunker and locker limitations, roof exterior maintenance, and general building condition. Fire equipment and PPE, which is personal protective equipment, costs continue to rise, including turnout gear, EMS monitors, hose fittings, radios, software, and training-related equipment. Anybody want to take a guess at what a certified fire radio costs per radio, the ones that we have in our hands?
$500.
$500? Close. $7,000. One radio.
7,000?
We can't go into a fire with a regular radio. You have to have the NFPA approved ones, or if something happens when your firefighter's in there, you could be sued. So yeah, $7,000 per radio. Facility equipment, we talked about that, station needs remain, we talked about that, EMS monitors, post fittings, radio software, staffing, service issues. Daytime response availability, remains a concern. Training opportunities, mobilization, rescue, watercraft training, and specialized activities help recruit and retain volunteers. Data point. Fire call volume has increased significantly from roughly 200 calls in 2000 to approximately 880 calls in 2025. The takeaway is fire needs are not limited to the station. Volunteerism, apparatus, PPE, EMS equipment, OSHA safety requirements, training, and call volume all need long-term planning. So that's fire department. Public Works, water facilities, main pressure is Public Works managing aging infrastructure, aging facilities, future equipment needs, and water system responsibilities with limited staff depth. We have a reserve and funding issue that's being kind of solved with some of the rate increases. That was a priority for us. So water facilities, roads, equipment needs are predictable. Then should be planned through reserves, phase projects, grants, water rate planning, and other funding tools. And I guess also what that's saying is it's not just water. We go out of the water fund, of course, roadways, sidewalks, and infrastructure around town. Facility and equipment issues, city facility needs to include city hall, fire station, water shop, water plant, storage and tractor, building maintenance. Equipment reserves should be built, future tractor and pickup replacement. I think we're getting back on top of those reserves and we're starting to put more money into those versus the general fund. Infrastructure issues, water system reliability remains a major long-term responsibility. I mean, our system is running really well. We have a state-of-the-art water system and we do not get hardly any water breaks, but the system is getting older. I can't even remember the last time we've dealt with a utility main break.
Down there in the corner.
Yeah, that was probably the last one on G Street, and that had to do with an install that was going on as well, and a pressure issue. But other than all, we've been very lucky up until this point. Membrane skid reliability, possible future discussion on the third skid unit. That's important to the mayor as well, and we've been talking about that. Water distribution flow improvements, including Hillilla Loop, which we're working on right now. Highway 101, Bridge Path, Cottage Avenue, and other aging mains. Don't forget, there's a big water main underneath Bridge Path. All those beautiful trees that are growing around it. One day that's going to become an issue. Staffing and service issues, public works staffing and succession planning should be addressed, especially sooner than later. Mark McFadden will be retiring probably in about 4 years, especially for water operation knowledge and certifications. And the takeaway is public works needs not just one project. Water, road, sidewalks, facilities, equipment, and staffing successions all require long-term commitment. And then we have the administration and general city issues. Main pressure is absorb, the administration has absorbed increased workload across planning, legal, code enforcement, communications, public meetings, technology, facilities, records, and finance. Building reserve fund should be rebuilt for City Hall, fire station, and other building needs. Fees and rates should be reviewed, including building, planning, permits, records, right-of-way code enforcement, business licenses, facility use, and other service fees. Under facility and technology issue, the City Hall needs include office space, record storage, meeting room technology, HVAC, carpet. I think this is close to 25 years old, 30 years old, still works fine. Electrical capacity, security, roof, siding, paint, general building maintenance, technology and software costs continue to increase. Computers, phones, cybersecurity, public meeting technology, record systems, and annual subscriptions. Cybersecurity, there's just been a situation where state laws changed where you have to address your cybersecurity. You can't just lackadaisically go. That does cost money. And we're doing something. Future revenue tools, so communication issues, future revenue tools, bond discussions, utility fees, transient lodging tax changes, or facility planning may require outside communications support as well. Getting some help and getting people to understand where we're at. The takeaway on that is administration is not separate from police, fire, public works, water, facilities. Administrative capacity is what allows the city to carry out the council's direction. We have been busy. Things have changed in Gearhart. 22.5% increase in people. That doesn't, we went from a 60% unoccupied homes to probably 40% unoccupied homes, and they fill in. Many people don't vote here. They're not registered to vote here, but they live here. And so it's filling in quite a bit. So managing these expectations, taking a look at these situations, understanding the reserve accounts and how we're going to move forward, and what is it that Gearhart wants are all questions that we ask. You want me to go over any other part of this?
I think the budget piece.
Okay, that's financial context.
You were.
So the main pressure for your 2026-27 budget shows that the city is meeting legal budget requirements, but maintaining an adequate budget is becoming more difficult. Revenue is not growing as fast as expenditures. Property tax is stable, but limited by measures 5 and 50. Transient lodging tax is a major near-term revenue option and is already included in the adopted budget for further council process. We're working towards that. Operating issue, departments made sacrifices in materials, services, and capital outlay. This is for this year's budget. City also uses an interfund loan to manage cash flow before property tax revenue arrives. Something that Justine has secured for us, and made operating a little bit more understandable, but still is a difficult way to operate. Fee rate and issues, water rates are increasing because operating costs continue to rise. The building fund is not fully self-supported and may need fee review. State revenue sharing has become less reliable and provides only a limited support for reserves. Takeaway is that if new revenue is not approved, the city will need to consider other revenue tools, service reductions, deferred projects, or reduced reserve funding. So we have these common themes that kind of came up in all of this. Service demand is increasing. Costs are increasing. Facilities are aging. Equipment and technology requires regular replacement. Reserve funds are not keeping pace with the known needs. And staff are doing broad work with small teams. And things that we're paying attention to is retention, burnout, succession, and service capacity. They're all real risks. Public safety facility bond did not pass, but the underlying facility needs remain. City cannot do everything at once. Linus said that once already, and that is true. So what level of service does Gearhart want to provide over the next 2 to 5 years? What investments are necessary to provide for that service? What revenue tools or trade-offs should be explored to make that possible?
I have one other comment with regard to the financial that I think is pertinent, and that's that even though we finished a balanced budget, that we won't see the earnings from the transient lodging tax increase, but only for 6 months instead of for the whole year. So that, in my mind, kind of makes this the toughest year, although we don't know at this point how much that TLT will help with cash flow for with our money situation.
We had some best guesses. We go on the same occupancy percentages that the hotels and short-term vacation rentals are going off of now. Their average rates stay about the same. But you're right, we don't know exactly.
What's the best guess?
I mean, if the current numbers and we start heading down the path that we've elected, it would double it.
So we're like 585, so it would double it.
585,000.
585,000.
So I have
It would double that.
It would double it, but remember, it also comes off with a trade-off because part of that would have to go into a dedicated fund. 50% of it would have to go into a dedicated fund for.
Right, so discretionary spending would be 25% more. No, 50%.
Right, into
Sorry.
the general fund, yes. Which is still a substantial amount of money. I mean,
Enough to maybe cover what we're currently doing. Right? More
yeah,
so than new programs.
I mean, it definitely would be an influx and definitely be able to help with the reserve fund, you know, putting money, some of the targets that they're looking for putting money into reserve funds, it would definitely. And in theory, you would think that transient lodge tax in nature would grow because they increase rates too. So it's a percentage of what it costs. We have not seen that here. Surprisingly, ours stays very steady and regular, and has like for the last 5 years. We haven't seen a lot of growth in it. So the increase would definitely help and immediately help. I mean, it would only be a partial year next year, but following that.
Right.
So the additional revenue put in there could be used for the reserve fund, which is critical, and all the reserve funds. And it could also help if we are also responsible in offsetting personnel costs and other costs that are increasing, utilities, other expenditures, vehicle, fuel, those types of things that increase.
Okay, what needs to happen to get this in place?
We have to write the ordinance.
And we are having our legal counsel review it, so we've submitted the documents to them, look over and review so that we can start that process of bringing that to you, taking a look at it, do some public hearings, get some input from the community, how they feel about that. You know, I want to stress.
All by next year.
Yeah.
No, all by October.
All by October. Well, for sure, for first reading in November, because we have to have a first reading and a second reading. And I think that the key message here, and the budget committee was amazing, and I really felt like that we made a lot of progress in just talking about what increasing the transient lodge tax did and how that impacted us, is that the goal would not be to increase at this point. We were not looking to increase the number of rentals or rooms. All we were doing is increasing the percentage that people have to pay. So it would be more expensive for people to stay in Gearhart than maybe the underlying areas.
And we are still, I did a search this morning, again, double checked, and we are still, I believe, the lowest everywhere, right?
As far as tax revenue?
Yeah, well, I'm Seaside's at 10%, Warrenton's at 12, Astoria's at 15.5, Cannon Beach is at 9.5, Nehalem is at 11.5. The unincorporated areas of this county are at 9.5.
I believe that we are still the lowest in this area. There are places across the state of Oregon that are in the 7% range. So we're not the lowest in the state of Oregon, but I think in our area.
In our area is what I'm talking.
Yes. And the amount that we propose to go up doesn't have to be the amount that gets approved, you know, through discussion.
That might be where
Why
we would
wouldn't
have a
we?
disagreement.
Why wouldn't
No reason other than
You have
I
options.
don't know how the business community, you know, some of those larger housing units will feel about having it increased, or they might feel like they're being chose over other, you know, somebody might choose to go to another area over here. If
Well,
it's-
they're also
pay
struggling in
$20
the last couple of years. They've had, one of the reasons it stayed steady is because there's been a turn down in tourism reported from the folks that we would normally see a lot of tourism from. I know, for example, Cannon Beach was impacted by less the Canadian tourism than we normally see. And if it's affecting them, I imagine it's affecting us. We just have no mechanism to measure that because we have such low tourism rates. But
Ready to move on? So on our agenda, we're going to number 3, council discussion and idea grouping. And we're just gonna take these 4 questions that we have. We're gonna deal with them one at a time. And we can round robin or each person can go ahead, but let's try and get some stuff on paper here. And what we're talking about now is what are the city's most important needs over the next 2 to 5 years?
We need a secondary source of income besides just steel fees.
Something that does not fluctuate the way that TLT can. Something more reliable.
A stable one?
One of the other.
No, I don't.
Okay. I'll just give you the ones that I, as far as immediate, are we? I'll
2 to
start with
5
immediate,
years.
Yeah, well, I had improve our financial outlook, TLT, water fees, system development fees, staff time fees. Lock in an attorney. Resolving the post office issue. Long-term solution for that.
USPS issue. I'm not sure I got all of yours. I've got, system development fees, staff time fees, attorney, permanent.
Yeah, that was separate. That was a staffing issue. Well, so let's move the attorney down to staffing. Let's make the next bullet staffing. Okay, so as far as my number one goal is public safety of this community. And so some of the pieces of that puzzle fall under staffing. So that's why I asked you to put staffing down there, things that I think that we need in the near future. A code enforcement officer. Because you cannot continue to have our city administrator serve that role. It's not working out for anybody. Another police officer, another firefighter, and a clerical technical support staff position that could be shared. And those would be the peace officer, the firefighter, and the clerical staff would be further closer to the end of the, not the immediate too, because we don't even have any place to put those kinds of people right now. We would have to deal with some of our OSHA issues before that. Also under staffing, I would like to see us identify and make use of a contract grant person to identify money that we're not making use of.
Grant research.
And applications. That would not be a.
That could even be volunteer.
Well, I don't know. I'm not ready to dig that deep into the position. I'm just identifying that as being needed. Citizens that seem to believe that more things could be paid for by grants, and there's no way to disprove them or serve that need or that expectation without finding somebody who is a professional in that area to advise us.
So on public safety, you said that, Dana, but I'm just gonna add my own there. I'm just gonna say, repair or replace. I mean, we need to fix I'm just gonna say OSHA,
Yeah,
delinquencies or probably not the right word. That would be first and foremost, and I know there's a bunch of them. We'll get to that much detail later.
yeah, I could talk forever on that, but, on that, I'm not talking about a big project. I'm talking about rent them a shower and a bunk room. Put it someplace like we used to have the little cubicle here, stick it in the back someplace. Shut off the use of that kitchen over there until and fix the doors. I don't want to spend any more money on my building. It's gonna fall down. It's like a big plastic on peg at this point. I had succession planning for our water treatment plant operator.
That's another person, right? So we're talking,
Well, not bringing on another person, but maybe developing or starting the process now so that we're not caught unawares should our water treatment plant guy get into a car accident tomorrow.
mhm,
We have a plan in place because, I mean, you attend the same meetings I do. Everybody in the state would fight you fist to mouth for a water treatment plant. They're not.
But
they're
there
just
are
not out
also
there.
companies that actually do that. I mean, they run water.
Well,
If they're not on site or.
yeah, and we would have difficulties because of location and it's really competitive. It's really competitive and and also you have to look at our business model. Mark is not only our water treatment guy, he's the head of our public works. He is the one who's supposed to be overseeing all of the other projects also. So,
My sense is that he's mostly caught up doing water.
it,
I think that's accurate.
yeah, it is. And as are all of the, I live right next to the water treatment plant and I'll tell you that all of the guys are there. Every single day I see them doing multiple trips there. So it's a full-time job. I have other, the water needs, water infrastructure improvements. As Chad said, we're at a critical, that's probably our newest system. And we also did the inventory of all of our pipes and everything a while back when the state required it to determine if there were any lead or any things that were contaminating our water and through the pipes themselves.
Yeah, we don't have it.
And we determined that we were in good shape.
Yeah, we're in good shape there. It's just
But-
the age of pipes.
Yeah, but everything, nothing lasts forever. Let's just put it that way. And we have already started some of that too. We, Chad, last year when the state was doing its budgeting, Chad went down and had meetings with the folks, as did Terry and I, and had meetings with the folks, telling them to put this on their horizon and work it into their numbers because we're going to be asking for money for water system improvements.
Don't we have some sort of report you all put together a year or two ago?
Just looking at that.
That's, yeah,
So
that's
that
what I'm
would be
talking about.
good, like, the next time we come together, we can maybe take a look at that
Yeah,
too, might be nice.
so that's something you have to continually remind them of, because if you just tell them once that you need money and then you walk away and you never ask them again, they don't believe it.
Who's they?
People that you need money from, the
State
state,
representatives.
anybody who would be
Oh.
working towards finding money for us. You have to, it's true that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So anytime and every time they ask, what do you need? We need to have that list of these are our needs, and water system improvements needs to always be on it.
And you're good at that, but I could use that bullet point list every time I go to these meetings, just to
Yeah.
make sure I'm throwing it in there.
I have, downtown revitalization, and that doesn't necessarily mean a physical, but I think that plays a part in some of the other decisions we're making as far as what I see as spending TLT tax dollars on to support our businesses downtown, make it easier for them to sustain, be resilient.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, because I had that kind of in my head, it's just support the downtown, businesses.
Obviously, sidewalks, street improvements, signs and vegetation. We've got street signs falling down around the community. And that all works into, I don't want us to see it, to have an ADA component. And
Street sidewalk signage,
vegetation.
look pretty good for 4th of July, I was noticing, trims been done.
And then our ongoing culvert needs. Which seems like an immediate need, but if one fails, you know that another is going to fail at some point, or you have to be prepared for it. It should not be in crisis mode every time we have an issue. Should have a plan.
You're talking about culverts over the road, the other, near Coxsackie Creek.
Yeah.
Have we had one fail?
Yeah, the Bud's campground situation. That culvert that goes underneath your heart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's failed.
Yeah, the problem with those is if you don't have a plan in place, then you're reactive. When you're reactive, you're slower, and the slower you fix a problem like that, the worse it gets. You need to have a plan in place and be ready to go.
Preston, have we missed anything?
I'd like to know what the hell the community wants from us. That's my biggest deal. I mean, everybody complains about the fact that we don't do what it is that they want. So my request is to the community to give us the answers. Instead of just bitching about it, give us the answers to what you think the solution is.
Like, they might not agree with some of these.
I don't think they agree with anything.
Well, we can.
We've been on this emergency, critical infrastructure stuff now since for 20 years, okay? There's been a lot of reasons why the measures have failed. The number one reason was we were gonna move the fire station from the downtown core area. Okay? This
Well,
last bond deal.
one of three, we were.
Okay, but the thing is that, this last one, we were gonna remodel this thing here. It went down to flaming. Oh, I'd like to know what the community expects. We had this discussion when I first joined the city council about people in Gerhart wanting more services. We got one of the lowest taxing districts in the goddamn state. Okay, and you pay for, we got one administrator, three people in the office here. We had 2 police officers, now we have 3. We got two paid individuals at the fire station. And we've got 4 people in public works. And everybody expects wherever they came from. I mean, I'm a longtime resident here. I've grown up in this city. Okay, we've always managed to get by with the personnel that we have. And now everybody wants to increase, wants more services, We've got enough parts. The problem is, who's gonna maintain them? We've got enough benches. Who's gonna maintain them? Public Works is up to their eyeballs in work. And I don't see anybody in the community stepping up to give us a solution. All they want to do is complain.
Well,
And I'm sick and tired of it.
that may be one of the stable income pieces. Maybe we need to ask people who have money to spare. There must be
Okay.
some.
I see on this thing here where, you're talking, the suggestion was, a second home fee. Those are the people that are actually paying the taxes and not using the services. Okay? That's a non-entity with me. You either increase the tax base to support what it is that the citizens want, but they're never ever gonna vote for that. Because they're complaining about how much taxes they're paying right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so they did say something because they elected you. They elected you to be the frontline person to determine what Gerhart needs. Do we need to hear from them? Yes, obviously we do. But the point of this meeting here is to hear from you as a leader elected, you know, to represent people. What do you, based on the knowledge that you now have, sitting in this seat and having access to the information that you have at City Hall, what is it you would tell the community we need above and beyond the fire station improvements? What other things do you think that the city government should be working on?
I think that what they need to do is increase the tax base.
Okay, but so that.
I realize
we
that.
would pay- I get it. So what you're saying is that we need to be more financially stable, which we have there on the list. And I agree with you. I don't necessarily agree with the tax base. That's a discussion we can have down there. So finances are an issue for you. What else?
Community support.
Okay, so we need to,
The same people show up every time that we have a public meeting. The same people show up.
Okay.
Okay?
okay,
And all the naysayers and everything like that, they may come, but they're not supportive.
I get it. So again, the point of this meeting is what city council can do and what city council can identify. So what do you not, knowing that we can't control the public, but we can try and persuade them, or we can try and make an environment where they are more likely to do that. What can council do? What should we, if that's gonna be our goal? Are you saying improve public support and improve?
I think what we need to do is to, take the gloves off and inform the general public exactly what's gonna happen if they don't support their public services department, okay? You've got OSHA down here, right? People have failed the bond issues every single time. OSHA's been waiting in the wings. The same way with the fire people, the same way with the police people. Okay, sooner or later, you either do something about it, or you start using all your money for fines and forfeitures. And I think that the general public needs to understand that.
Okay, so you would say communicate the difficulties that the city is having.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got communication and I put increased community support here.
Okay.
And
what else can the council do as far as what else should be on our horizon, or something that we're working towards, whether it's this council or the next council that's
I think-
sitting here.
I think it's revenue source and informing the public as to what's going to happen if they do not increase the revenue source.
But you're not talking about just revenue source just to meet the budgetary, the purpose of our budget. You're talking about enough financial stability that we are not in a crisis mode every time something.
Every
goes
single
wrong.
time. We used to have, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we had reserve funds that would match exactly what Chad is talking about right now.
Right.
All those reserve funds are down to the bare minimum. Okay?
No?
Water, 100% water rates. Water rights. Okay? Somebody should be camped down at the Water Resource Board.
Right.
Because it's like you said, if you're not there every week, they're just gonna poo-poo it on down the road.
So if we're saying that we need money to meet our regular budgetary needs, things that are going up that are beyond our control, and that measure 5 and 50 are preventing us from being able to keep up with. You're saying we need money for things you can reasonably predict are going to happen down the future. You're talking about infrastructure needs. What infrastructure needs would
Well,
you?
we've got,
I think
we've
that
got
we
those
should.
on here.
Well,
Okay.
that's what I'm getting at. Is there anything we have a sidewalk?
Yeah, I'll tell you something. This transite line that runs down the bridge path with all those trees and everything like that. Transite is a cement asbestos product. It's very rigid. It's very brittle. All you have to do is have one of those trees go over and that line there is ruptured. Okay? How are you going to replace it? You got all these tree huggers here in this town. How are you going to replace that line?
So would you agree that by putting in water repairs and that we've covered that one adequately, or is there some other way we can word that?
I think that what we need to do is inform the public of what the consequences are going to be.
Okay. Well, we've got that.
Okay?
We've got that.
You know, it's interesting. I went to Ken Smith's funeral, his services at the church the other day, last weekend. And Judy handed me a pile of newspaper articles that all had Ken's name in it from the 70s, 80s, 90s, what have you. I don't know what you're thinking here, but Gearhart has not changed that much in regards to the way that it fights about money, the way that it's trying to determine who it is and what what Gearhart wants to be. I mean, I remember Wiederhorn, this is before Chad, Wiederhorn, community went for a bond, 700,000 to buy that. That blew up. Everybody voted no because the beach access was not that important, all sorts of things. This has always been Gearhart's way. But I think it is, what you're saying is it's good to not assume what Gearhart wants here. We don't know. The bond results show that we have more listening to do and explaining to do. Like what you say, people need to understand the budget that Gearhart's working with and the services that we have. And I agree with that. So the strategic question may be whether or not the council wants to first define what the city's financial reality is right now, and then ask the community what level of services and investment that it wants.
Okay.
And I think that kind of phrases it. Let's get through this first part and how we're going to get through the next few years. But in the meantime, and during that process, and Sharon has come up with some ideas and discussed this with me about how to bring this out into the public and to have these discussions so that they have a better understanding of where we're at. I think that would look really good.
I think so. All mine is trying to achieve now, though, is we're trying to come up with a list of problems and the goals right now, not necessarily the solutions. We'll get to the solutions later.
No, these are just the needs. We're just trying to capture what we think are the needs, and Preston's got some, Dana's done some. We haven't heard very much from Sharon yet, so we need to get your list up here.
Okay, so, some of this is gonna be repetition. The budget, is the number one problem, I think, in my mind. And where we're going to get money to provide services to our citizens.
And we're gonna talk about where we're gonna get the money later.
Right, I'm not going into that. I think in my mind, the number two problem is residents not participating and or feeling like they don't count and their opinions don't count. This, I think, is a huge drawback in this city. So if you put that together with the budget, what I would like to see happen is to have a budget committee made of residents, not us, made up of residents who look at the problems, go through the budget, the LOC toolbook, revenue toolbook, recommendations, look at them pretty closely because they're pretty complex. There's a lot of moving parts to those tools that they have listed, and make recommendations to city council. That's going to take a lot of work, and I would love to see some citizens participate in that.
Is that like a ad hoc committee to just come up with a plan, or is this something?
No, it's gonna be a formal.
Is it?
Well, to begin with, I would like to see them go through the toolbook, tools, the LLC tools. And distill that out and see what is workable for Gerhardt. And what they would recommend to city council, where to go on that. That takes care of, two situations. Number one, somebody's looking at all the budgetary stuff. Well, actually, it takes care of more than that. Number two, that allows some of the public to in-depth understand what are, complexities, of getting the city to be in good working order. Number three, it allows the citizens on this committee to give their input. They get suggestions, they talk to their neighbors, their friends, they come back with ideas and input into this. I want to hear from the citizens. I don't want this to be a top-down thing. I want this to be a bottom-up thing. So citizens first. Okay, so that's how I could proceed in the near future, how we can get citizen input. I think we should also have some town halls, open town halls, where we can have discussions with citizens. I really feel like that needs to happen. Where it can be somewhat of a back and forth, and I'm not saying that we get into big arguments or fights or anything, but I really feel like citizens should be able to feel like they can come and stand up and ask questions and have some questions maybe answered or discussed or whatever. Okay. Other things and I've said this before, we do not revisit our goal setting, our goals on any kind of a regular basis. I think we've gone maybe a couple of years since we've done this. This needed to be done on a pretty regular basis. We need updates on what we've achieved, what hasn't been achieved, what percentage this whole thing gave us percentages, what was done. And we need to have discussions about that. I don't think we have enough discussions as a city council. Another thing is I think the ordinances probably need to be reviewed and perhaps updated to some extent. On this goals, former goals list that we had, we were going to have the police chief look at our ordinances and give us his recommendations on some of them. I don't know that, did we ever do that?
We had several meetings that spoke.
Just the,
Right, us.
just the noise ordinance is the
Right.
only one.
Yeah.
Oh, there's more.
Oh,
There is, or there
I
isn't.
don't know, I was asking, that was more about.
well, there's a lot of ordinances
Yeah.
that
Whatever you need.
you guys are involved in. So anyway, the ordinances all need to be reviewed. I don't know that that would be incumbent on us or if that would be a planning commission task to begin with. Another thing is considering increasing our UGB.
That's a revenue, that's not a need.
Right, but that's more than a revenue. That's
I'm putting it on the.
and it
parking lot.
may be included as a need.
Without water, it's a moot point.
I understand we're waiting on the water rights. I get that. But this is 2 to 5 year. Okay, hopefully we'll get the water rights in, I don't know, a year.
We've been waiting since we applied for.
It's on the revenue page, it's not on the needs page. Sorry.
And I think that's all I've got that wasn't listed by Dana. Oh, I know, last one is our natural resources. Do we expand our natural resources? That would include extending the ridge path potentially. And looking at the riparian zone again.
Enhance, would that be a good word?
Sure, whatever you want to put. And then one thing that Paulina had brought up back on this 23 to 24 goals was energy efficiency. I think that needs to go somewhere.
Probably look at me, I was not in the office. So enhanced natural resources, you said neocoxy, right? When you said that?
Ridge path.
The Ridge Path and, riparian zone.
You know, she mentioned the UGB thing, and I know that there's, that's the kind of thing where now is not necessarily the time, but I don't think that it shouldn't necessarily be on a goal list for down the road. And the reason I say that, and hear me out for just a minute, is this city seems to be, in my opinion, very, reactive to a lot of things rather than necessarily proactive. And I'll give you an example. My very first city council meeting here, I asked, what are we going to do about homelessness? Do we have an ordinance? Are we going to be working on that? And I was told at that time, we don't have homeless here and it's not an issue. And within 4 months, we had a full-blown encampment out there. And then it took us, because we weren't reactive and didn't forecast and see that that was going to be an issue and get out in front of it, it became much harder and a longer haul to solve it. I see the UGB thing as another one of those things that we need to think about. We need to think about who's going to be living on our borders. If you look down and see what's happening in Seaside, I think, again, the public, you should ask them, what you're seeing happening on our borders, is that what you enjoy? Do you want that coming up to our borders, or would you rather control slightly more territory? And we're not talking about the size of Texas. We're talking about just the few pieces of area that we can carve out to kind of protect Deerheart and make sure that we have a little bit of a buffer zone and that we have control of the areas that we can control, and make sure that those areas are not negatively impacting our lives in Deerheart. And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Carrie, do you have anything to add to our list?
No, I don't really. I believe the second source of income is the most important, because everything stems on that. If we don't have that, and if we don't work on that, everything else would be, because we won't have the money and we won't have the staff to do whatever it is we've got written up there. So I'm there. Okay, a second source of income. And that's where I'm staying until we come to solutions.
Let's spend like 5 minutes. It probably deserves more time, but we'll just do 5 minutes. And talk about what should Deerheart protect and preserve. I'm gonna say the citrus, because I love them. Particularly along neocoxy.
Would you just say everything in the riparian zone? Putting in the neocoxy.
Our way of life, I think.
Residential way of life.
That's probably the biggest need.
I'd say Ridge Path.
Ridge Path.
I already have it up there, but I want us to protect and support the downtown area, the businesses down there. Makes sense for us to look at our policies and things that are helpful for businesses and prevent them from being able to be as successful as a business needs to be in order to remain in business. And also support the businesses along the one.
Preston, anything else come to mind?
I just think the quality of life here. That's what brought everybody here.
Right. Exactly. Don't want to change it too much.
I think we should look into that a little bit more. What do we mean by quality of life? What factors go into that?
Well, and we talked about this, you know, a lot. The quality of life that we have in here. I just talked to somebody today who bought a house on North Cottage. Why are they here? Because we're here because there's limited vacation rentals in this town. There's limited commercialism. They came for all the reasons that everybody else came here for. I think that the disconnect is what makes this difficult compared to Cannon Beach, right? I hate comparing Cannon Beach to us, but same amount of people, same amount of houses, different thought process on who they want to be. Now, Cannon Beach is also has $40 million in reserves, and Gearhart has almost nothing. It's because we have chosen to be this type of community. We have chosen to be residential. We've chosen not to go on the path of high tourism dollars, and now we need to kind of look at what it is and what those effects are, and that's what we're discussing in big part today. With the lack of revenue coming in and the more increase in services, right? What are the citywide needs that should drive these revenues?
Yeah.
Okay, but let's go back to the quality of life just for a minute. To me, part of the quality of life is the walkability and meeting up with people who I know and being able to have a nice chat with them and seeing people I know around town and just that kind of feel like we're a bit of a family. I mean, that's really important to me about this town. The trees, I mean, it's a beautiful place. It really is a gorgeous place. And the trees really make the difference here. I mean, you can walk around Seaside and there's really cute houses in Seaside and, you know, there's fun things to do. But there's not very many trees in Seaside. So to me, that's a quality of life issue.
Been at this for an hour. I think we have our list. Before we go to the revenue, which we're gonna do after we take like a 5-minute break, we're gonna give you stickers. And I want counselors to vote for, I'll tell you how many you can vote for, give you stickers. Let's try and get some sort of prioritization of this list. So, I don't know, can we just take a 5-minute break?
You're the director.
Okay. I know.
Okay, 4:03.
How did that?
You're gonna put the timer on, that way we have the little bell.
I'll remind you in a minute.
Carried over.
Oh, great.
I
Thank
never
you.
knew why I forgot that. Probably because at some point. It sounded like I was. Well, I was part of like. It's pretty low. I think it just.
Just the efficiency, the energy. Well, I think you had talked about before about equipment that was, you know, like heaters and other things.
Yeah, I mean, it comes up occasionally,
Yeah.
but I don't know why I ever got assigned that, I never.
Do I get a sticker today?
What you do? It's. That's what. Sixteen. 17, 18. Give everybody 5. Should we let the audience do the food? You get people for food? Sure. Give me the little sticker.
Scissors?
I need some.
Not at all.
I got it, it's 1.5. We will have 4. So there. 4 will be. So what are these 3%? Thanks.
Any objection if we have our audience participate? We'll give them a different color. Right. Yeah. 5 of you?
Well,
Yeah.
supposed to be 5. You notice that we took this, right? You notice that we didn't put a cheap one, right? How is that sexual purpose? No. You know what? We're not even gonna have that conversation right now. We are not.
From Japan. That's my very good friend, is half Japanese. I have a mom grew up there, and they go every year. Her mom's 96.
Oh, wow.
Got back.
Wow.
10 days. And so she always brings.
Was she there when they had that big earthquake?
She wasn't, thank goodness.
So she brought this back, and the only thing, I do love it, is, maybe might
Yeah.
be,
That's okay, it could be 3/4 sleep.
I'm going with that.
You know how you deal with that?
People like
Roll 'em
this
up.
all day.
No,
You roll.
You roll them up more.
but that's a formal blouse, so.
It's
Me,
meant to
roll
be
it
like,
up.
he's the 80s. Okay, so it feels.
Our time's up, isn't it, Chad?
Yeah, we're going.
I don't know what to do with.
We're back in order.
I feel like I'm between mom and dad.
Okay, we have bulleted items over here, and then we have 1, 2, 3 more. Stable income, second source of income, gotta vote there, but.
Is that why you have the blue dots there to show
Well-
that those are separate?
No,
I voted.
She voted.
so she went ahead and voted, no, it's fine, it's fine. So let's go ahead and all do that then, and if you guys want to as well.
Okay,
Now's the time.
So wait a minute, so I understand what we're voting on. We're voting on what we think are the most important things on there? Should we put a numerical number on there, or is it just right now, we're just
I just put.
gonna see which one ends up with the most dots?
By my dot, just put a sticker, and, you know, as long as you don't put the sticker over those, so we can count them in case they get bunched out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Go ahead, absolutely.
Make sure it doesn't right through.
I can't connect. Can you take this group in just so I can the actual physical Webster's dictionary? I just want to see the actual Webster's.
Look at the context here.
Plus the heater.
Yeah.
I want to see.
Prevents it. I guess the fuck.
Oh, you can. You know, I can vote my policies, because this is gonna have to be resolved. I mean, this is like there's no choice on that. That is gonna have to be resolved. So I'm not gonna. I don't know, but that was just an odd word to use to me. Just wanted to make sure that that was.
Let's,
Yeah, I think so, but those were just things that they.
There's,
Oh, yeah.
there are aging pipes.
No, that's the culvert, that would be a culvert, but what that would be, things that are not necessarily a problem now, but we know are going to time out. You know, the membrane and.
There's a spin unit.
Yeah, there's a
I don't
spin
even know
unit,
what
I don't
that
even know all the
is.
things, but it's just, you know, any machine, there's gonna be, it's gonna need repairs.
It's the hardware that runs the water. Well. I think we have this.
Need a red on that.
Where's Sharon's deal about getting the public?
Well, I've got citizen budget committee, and then this is town hall. So those are the two that are to me, that's the two. This one was a little more generic, it's increased community support.
Yeah. That's what they're doing. Public safety basics. Maintaining the infrastructure, that's really what we're really looking at the next 2 years.
Yes, that were two.
So 1,
Of
2,
long-term rentals.
4, 5,
Well, yes.
6 is the concept.
Well, that would be.
I guess this is what I.
We haven't done that yet.
Get that, just get started for guidance increase in percent.
And it last full when it was others, but we're long to have unlimited.
Everybody on moved here, beach and community.
I'll say increase beds.
How's that?
Yeah, and it just isn't out there. There's a lot of that. That's everyone.
See, this is what
Well,
I'm getting through.
This is the need, this is these are the solutions, they haven't explored that fully.
Yeah.
Right here, this is exactly on that, because then one of the
That's
residents.
what they do.
So,
And stabilize.
Yeah, that's what they are, and. That's short.
That's, we're talking about what we're talking about.
And.
water rights for public safety.
This is.
Did you shop?
yes, I have 6 quarter beers I bought for company that's not company.
They say.
Are you inviting me?
Water rights.
Is that company coming?
We may need to.
I would say, put my crown on top of it, so.
That's interesting. Well, that's true, that's 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm buying here, that's when it's a good job, where people see that. People are thinking that we have enough to do what we're doing. And rather than a fee increase, there's no, that person must.
Right,
Here.
if that's the perception, then you're like a wasted effort. Any of them, I can see, I like to see the blues and the greens as the community say this place.
Do you believe the state has enough data to continue the services we have now?
That would be a community question, because I think this would be.
The second would be,
decision
do you
behind,
think the community
yeah,
believes that we have enough?
yes. I would think that is, grant research.
That's what I was trying to get to when I was coming up with Dr. Peacock this morning.
Because,
What's Gerhard actually want?
well, everybody I don't think anybody doesn't want to see their community improved. I think every community in the United States would agree that they would want their community. So would be improved. I think the question is what their improvement looks like.
Yeah.
It's like it does sort of off the resident, but I don't think anybody would say they don't want to see
Thank
their
you, Chad.
community.
The email.
Okay.
Same problem.
Yeah.
Got it. Fax machines go.
Down.
So I'll get what I get you.
I tried a few times now. 3 different cartridges, but we kept saying cartridges.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a dedicated fax machine? It's not a fax printer? or
It-
About 15 years old.
It has to be, we still have to be, because in the modern day, there are still things, especially police related.
You wanna
Usually
clean that
child
out to make
No,
a real list.
in a fax.
Yeah.
Don't need to do it.
Only
Don't need to do it now.
at this point,
Maybe I'll
100%
Yeah,
secure.
talk about it.
Like nobody's gonna hack into it. So we do get things and do get requests that are just not as much anymore because of the things, but we do have some. So it's still very important, even though we don't use it very much.
What's a fact?
Okay, we're gonna keep going. So everybody used all their stickers then? I just want to circle the ones that look to me like they've got the most votes, so we kind of capture that. And the other thing I want to do on this is just go through this quickly and make sure that because I think I did, like grant research, it may be a need, but it actually is part of the revenue solution to get more grant funds. Well, we get more revenue, or we get to spend more money. Okay, so these then, second source of income, I'm gonna say were these 4 plus 4 more here. So that's 8. Water infrastructure's got 3 here. 3, okay, so I'll just write that now. Water rights, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 at least. And public safety stuff, 4, right?
There's one on the other side of water rights.
So plus 1, so that's 4 then. 4 here. 1, 1, 1,
Yeah, but there's more
1.
on public safety.
Yeah, I think those were subheadings under safety.
There's.
Oh, okay, 4 plus
5,
1,
6.
6.
There's subheadings under
Thank you.
that.
And that's separate.
No, because that's different, that's separate. Is it? Okay, read that.
It's a pen.
It's
a good one.
3 here for increasing communication. The citizen committee for budgets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then revitalization, 1 and 3 here, so there's 4. So the top one, public safety. Citizens Committee to help with the budget.
Why do you call public safety top one?
It's got 6 votes.
Yeah, but on the top is 8 for stable income, second source
Oh,
income.
sorry, you're right. You are totally right.
Should we, pull anything, should we pull this piece of paper off? It's getting kind of.
Yeah. Thank you.
Maybe it's getting a little long if you refer to it and write up your. I'll give your banner.
Okay, so number 1 was Gary.
8, it's the second source income, stable incomes. It's the way I see it. A stable income, second source income is going to be basically the same thing.
You have to push harder than that.
And 2 had 6 votes,
Right.
and that was public safety. And there was a couple bullet points under that, which included repair, replace, and OSHA. Anything else in that public safety? Nope. And then water rights.
There's 5.
Water rights and
Water infrastructure?
downtown. It's water rights right here. Okay, the
only
budget
4.
commit,
That's
the,
only 4. Why you going, you don't wanna go in order of descending?
I missed one. I'll just make this number 4, and the next one was, the citizen committee, right?
Yeah, it's 5. You've got also 4, you've got downtown revitalization. So there's 2 that have 3.
Go ahead.
Water infrastructure.
6, there's nothing before that, right?
Yeah, and we're doing communication to public town halls. Also, this
Chunks of being long.
6. 6. Is that the same number for the council? Yeah.
3. Even there's, looks like the only other one is, oh, there's 1 for set up goals review. And there's 1 for enhanced natural resources.
Just 1, yeah.
1 each. So I think that covers it.
Town hall / communication. I feel like the most important thing for us to do is then finish this off, just thinking or talking or making a list of revenue funding options or ideas that we would want to explore further. But let's get them up on a list, and then we'll figure out how much of that we can actually explore further. Maybe there's only 1 or 2 good, I don't know. Should we start with the list that we generated and go from there?
Are you going to this list on page 5? Or are you
I'm on
going
page 3.
page 3?
Page 3, number 5.
Kind of the tail end of the,
Page 2, number 5, leads over to page 3.
Oh, so this is like a copy of this other one. is what it
They're
is.
just back to back.
Same paper.
What we've got on there right now on our parking lot for revenue, we've got increase the tax base. And Preston, that was yours. Now, you're talking about the $1.005. Is that what you're talking about when you say increase the tax base?
Absolutely.
And that's not an option.
It's not an option.
No. That's a statewide option, statewide. It says in the manual that that is not an option. It's capped by the state of Oregon. It was implemented with Measure 50, and you cannot change that. You can implement local option levies, but you cannot change your permanent tax rate.
They have not been successful. Is it true that that's not an option, or just that it has never been successful in Oregon?
I believe that it is.
Went to a class, it was like, how to increase your revenue through tax base.
But you can do the levy stuff.
The opening was, you can't, free donuts. I mean, that's basically what it was.
There's no,
It says a permanent tax rate limit for each taxing district that cannot be changed by the district or its voters. Voters can approve temporary levies, local option levies to exceed the permanent tax rate, but you cannot change that, ever. It was part of Measure 50. This is according to the LOC Oregon Revenue Toolkit.
So, yeah, so that's the same problem that every city across the state is having, and that is that while it's insurance rates for staff and retirement rates and equipment costs and the cost just to keep the lights on, all of those go up, but our actual income is only gonna ever increase by 3%. It's not gonna keep up with the numbers that everything else is inflating.
Right. And so you can create the local option levy, which can be a 3 or 5 year, and those are temporary. So you can approve a 3 or a 5 year, and those can be used for general operating. You know, the voters have to approve it. You can use that. There are broad things that can be used for. The problem with that is that as the school found out after 20 plus years of having the local option levy, which they used for their general fund, the voters can say no.
Sure. So does that Measure 50 mean that the county commissioners cannot change the assessment structure?
The assessment structure is dictated by yeah, so that, yes, Measure 5 is constraints on the property tax levies where it's capped.
That would have to be changed at the state level. And occasionally there are people within the state that say the system that we have is absolutely insane. It would be hard to work within. Normally, when you look at a state's taxes, you consider it like a 3-leg stool. You've got the income tax, you have the property tax, and then many states have the sales tax. In Oregon, we don't have the sales tax, so we're relying on the income tax and the property tax. The state keeps all of the income tax. The property tax is what the city revenues are going to be. But then the state said, okay, we're going to cap how much your property values can go up and how much money you can make from that. And that's why levies are used so much. The other thing that some cities are using are not necessarily water rate increases, but water fees. You can put a public safety fee onto your water rate. So let's say your water bill is hypothetically $40. The city could say, okay, you're going to pay $10 or $20, and that money is going to be designated to go to this need.
Yeah.
And the city can do that without going to the voters.
And there's a bunch of stuff. I mean, under fees and that sort of thing, there's a bunch of stuff in that toolkit that needs to be considered. So
can we get them on paper? Or is it too hard to slow
That
them
might
down?
be another one that we would have to come back for. That could be a whole meeting in itself.
that's why we have a budget committee.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just tell you that I am tax averse. I will pay a tax, or I will agree to a tax if I see an absolute need for it, and if I see that the city has done everything it can to avoid that. I would say in this case, I have not seen the city do everything it can to avoid that yet, but we're making progress. I like that we're finally talking about increasing the TLT tax. Some of the other things we're talking about are, to me, important conversations to have before you start talking about assigning taxes to everybody. I like it when people that get services pay for those services and I don't have to pay for those services.
So something like a service fee for outside the city limits, but inside the urban growth boundary?
Well,
You vote for
similar,
something like that?
well,
A user fee, more like a user fee.
no, what I'm talking about more is taking advantage of little pots that add up over time. One of the things that we did recently was we passed the
fire.
ordinance that allows the fire department then under certain circumstances to say, hey, you don't pay for our services, so we're gonna charge you a fee. That was one important step. Another one would be all day long, our limited staff are already overburdened, get calls from people that just have random calls. Okay, I'll give you an example. The realtors that call for Angelina or for whoever they get on the phone, they tie them up, they ask them questions that go nowhere. It's a hypothetical. I'm looking at a house over here on B, and I need to know this and this and this and this and this. And you answer all those questions. You spend 15 minutes, 10 minutes to 15 minutes of your day on the phone with them, and they go, oh, thank you. And then they go away. And then nothing ever comes of it. They don't buy the property, and all they've done is just impacted our staff that could be working on things that all of the city.
You're talking about a fee?
I'm talking about it, setting up a system to where they have to schedule that time so that the folks and staff know when their time is going to be impacted. They can set aside, they can schedule around it, and then you charge. If you want to come in and speak to me for 15 minutes, there's going to be a 15-minute fee or whatever it is, but we're a minimum fee, and it goes to the people that are using those services. And that way we don't end up having to pay for more staff when really we should just be making better use of our staff.
Okay,
Charge for every 6 minutes, just like.
so I said increase a staff use fee for planning consultation.
That's
Because
why.
it's
Yeah.
not like going in and actually giving them a plan, going, I'm gonna
No.
buy a house. This is like, no, I just really wanna know about
Yeah.
ordinance, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but what's that gonna look like in reality? Are you
No,
gonna-
it's-
Other cities do it all the time. Trust me. I've worked in other cities where they say, don't even call us on Friday. We're not gonna answer the phone on Friday. Our staff is working on billing and the stuff that they need in order to serve our community.
But doesn't that set up more work for staff as far as the billing
It-
goes?
Not necessarily initially, maybe it's a little bit more chaotic, but then they start to figure it out. Yes.
Yeah, it's all ideas.
Yeah.
You just have to crunch the numbers.
Yeah,
How often does this happen? And
right now we're enjoying your creativity, and after that, we'll put numbers to your creativity. And we'll put the pluses and minuses.
transit bonding tax, I put it on there. Municipal utility fee, that's kind of,
The water safety fee up there.
or even this.
Yeah, that's kind of what that is.
Well,
Second home
wait,
tax, I
That's a
heard
franchise.
a really,
That's
really big veto on second home tax for now. Do we want to put it on here?
Yes, I want it on there.
Put it on?
Would like it to be on there.
It's not second, it's an empty home, I guess, is the way it's usually referred.
You guys are killing the goose that's laying the golden egg.
Oh, I'm not necessarily on board with either, but let's let him put on there and talk.
We're not making
Pros
any
and cons.
decisions right now.
I'm not.
Bond measure,
A bond measure, a levy measure. I would say
bond
you,
measure.
a bond measure.
I guess that's like what
Yeah.
we have to do.
Well, but that was for specific, if you're talking about an operating levy,
We got that there.
yeah, that's essentially what you're talking about. I mean, a bond measure is usually for
Part of
Yeah,
it.
capital improvement and something that, you know, you have to show for the money.
Which our goal is public safety, that a bond measure of some sort is going to have to be discussed.
For infrastructure,
Yeah.
yeah.
It is a way, would we agree that it's a way to increase our revenue though?
Only for a specific purpose.
Right. Okay. Bond for specific, bond for specific infrastructure.
Well, and not only that, but yeah, equipment. Fire department saying that they're gonna need $1 billion fire truck at some point. Police department is saying they're gonna need a vehicle.
What about fundraising or donations? Buy brick
On what?
For
Yeah,
what?
or what?
Yeah, a brick for
yeah, you would
a
have. to
pile
have
of bricks out here.
What was someone else?
Put your names on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you know, it just, if we had a new building, if we had a stage, a wall of remembrance for people that have lost their lives. It's in the action of, defending our country, anything like that.
We could do fundraising just to raise enough money to get doors for the fire.
We do fundraising, I mean, the fireman's ball's the fundraiser.
Yeah, but that's for, yeah, that's for the fire.
We did a
That's also
fundraiser
for
for
the
the
city
park, yeah,
infrastructure.
for the little park. Across the way for the
Yeah,
kids.
Yeah, we were talking,
well, so, yeah, we would have to do specific fundraisers for like that listing. Item specific fundraising, yeah, that's no brainer. For example, if we put in, I have no doubt that if we end up having to put in a centralized cluster box, which seems likely, then people are already circling around saying they want to throw some money in the pot and build something over it to protect it and make it not look like, just a big metal box out there, so.
People believe in the project, they'll fund it. I think that's the option.
I don't think we should discount it as long as.
Well, fundraising should always be, yeah.
Yeah. What about grants? Did I get grants on there?
So
I don't see
Yeah,
it
it's right
written.
there,
Right
right above protect, that's crossed out. You got.
I understand, right?
Here's, I know, but grants is really making revenue. So I meant to put it over there. He didn't moment, I put it in the wrong place.
Levy?
Well, we got the 3 to 5 year levy. And we have waters, we have a water/safety fees. Increase the tax base. I mean,
That's kind of.
I'm gonna get rid of this because Justine said we can't do it.
Not a permanent tax
We're
base.
gonna replace it with these two.
No, but yeah, I mean, the only other thing that you could do is that would increase if somebody, if we were to go through a boom like we did back during COVID when everybody was building
New
on
neighborhood.
their property, that kind of thing. But we're getting to the point where we don't have property like that,
Well, we could.
They call that a systems development fee.
Well, that needs to be up there.
Yes.
yeah, every other city around us has one and we need one.
And that includes remodel and everything else.
I don't know why we wouldn't be asking those people to.
That's what country building department.
Water meter replacement. We put in their first water meter. I think that from here on out, I personally think they should have to replace the next water meter. We can break it down into, they pay $20 a water bill in order to pay for it, but I think that we did the first one. I think they need to do from here on out.
What if they can't afford to?
Well, again, we'll
Have
work
a
with them,
scholarship
split
of
it
some
out.
sort.
Who in Gerhart cannot afford to pay for $20 a month for
You
water?
could say that about anything, but what if they can't afford water? What if they can't afford, if you own a house, there are things that you have to pay for.
It's cheaper.
If you want water, you've got to have a water
Sewer
bill.
line.
But you've seen places across the highway that they don't have certain amenities, right, Jan? Didn't you have a older couple that were living without water,
Oh, yeah, that was a pretty extreme situation.
but they couldn't
Their house
afford
was
it, right?
condemned. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there are times,
We always work with them.
right, but there are times when someone can't afford something, so we do need, if you have something like that, where we can, what did you say?
Scholarship of some sort.
A grant.
I mean,
Assistance fund.
yeah, assistance. I mean, it's just help the people that are in the greatest need.
Right.
It's a safety net.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But I would say the vast majority could pay it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I agree.
And that would make up for,
I was astounded when I heard the story.
you'd be surprised. Well, you maybe wouldn't be surprised. But it happened.
Well, particularly when, the statistics you read are that our mean income is, pretty much one of the highest in the county.
Mhm.
Across the board.
Incomes are higher here. If you look at the averages. So,
Oh, I kind of want it.
It used to be the 13th lowest taxing district in the state, the third richest community in the state of Oregon, per capita. You take Bend and you take, all those other, this community here was the third most wealthy. And that goes back to, number 3.
So we've gotten to next steps in closing. These, though we didn't have any trouble, getting the groupings. They sifted up pretty nicely in my estimation, but they still are gonna need a lot more delving into, because these are just like big, broad, bullet points and like water structure improvements. I mean, there's a whole list of what that is. And that has to be priced. I mean, it's been priced out, I think, and prioritized. So there's more work to do with all of these, how we're gonna get to more revenue. There's other ideas that will fall out of these big buckets.
Well, water infrastructure improvements and everything like that, that's gonna take, Fab, tell us what that is.
I think he's done it. He gave us a report about a year.
Yeah.
We have a
Chad
water master
emailed it
plan
out.
that will assist us with that. It's been planned out, costed out a few years ago. It's no longer accurate, but the list is accurate.
Chad, resent this out to all parties.
And I found that,
This is the list. We talked
Document.
about it in January of 2021.
I sent it to you.
And he just sent it just a few minutes ago. It's one of
And that's just
benefits
the
of
top
bringing it
issues.
Being in today's modern system.
So
You call me a dinosaur?
let's just talk for a few minutes. We got about 15 minutes. I hope to finish up at 5. Specific things that we want staff to bring back at a next meeting, whenever that next meeting might be. And maybe the next meeting is a different format, like maybe it'll be for the budget kind of committee that Sharon's talking about. I'm not sure what the next step would be yet. Are there specifics from what we talked about today that you need more information? I mean, we talked about like having access to the water master plan would be helpful.
Can I make a suggestion? So I think that we need to do more of what we started with today. But I would not want to see us waste a lot of time and energy going down a path that is not getting us to where the public wants us. So in light of the fact that so many of us believe that it's important that we get some public feedback, my personal suggestion would be, we have a town hall, we go to the public and we say, hey, these are what we had a conversation amongst ourselves, and we think these are our top goals as a community. Now, we need your help to tell us where we're missing it, or, tell us something that we didn't know or haven't considered, and determine that we're on the right path before we start running a marathon towards solutions that we don't need. I think we're still in diagnosis period. I think we need to have the next step would be to have a public conversation and do this again with the public and say, this is what we thought. Tell us where we're wrong. Tell us what you think. Tell us where it differs. Tell us something we don't know.
Would you include this part and this part in that?
Remember what we did with the chief when we had to hire the chief position, where we asked people to write down things? We can have people write things down in advance, and then we go into the public town hall and talk about information that we gathered. Could we set that up on a site that it doesn't take a lot of manpower, a lot of staff power to gather that info?
Survey type? Yeah, I mean, we can figure something out. If we just had a few simple questions that you wanted to ask people.
Or just what they talk then,
I-
what their question is.
I would
They
like-
can submit the questions.
I would like us to have the town hall first, because people are going to come away from a town hall with things that they perhaps haven't thought about before we do the survey.
But asking the question is, what questions they have in advance of the town hall might be helpful as well.
Yeah, or we could just break them out in groups with white pads and have their group, do it like, group project, write down, and we'll discuss it as a group.
In other words, similar to what we did.
And you'll get a lot more constructive information that way, that people tend to act better in groups. You give them a private survey, you're gonna get a lot of, you guys just suck and need to go away.
Yes, 21 times.
What was amazing is, before we realized how expensive the new fire station was going to be, we had the plot plan there, and we had all the different things that needed to go into the fire station.
Yeah.
And we broke them on up into different tables. I mean, that was, to me, that was probably the most constructive thing that this community has done in
Well, for the people.
a long
For the
time.
100 people that participate.
Yeah, and they were really involved. That's what we need, is to get those kinds of meetings.
So is that a consensus that we want to have public input at a town hall would be kind of next step? And then whether we start with, this is what we came up with,
Right.
validate what we came up with, or give us more,
Yes.
give us some more, because we'll just.
And I would like, I personally, I know it's summertime and everybody's busy, but I would personally like to see it before the end of summer, while we still have the, largest population in town, and get the most input from a wider.
My hope was to be able to finish this by October, November, somewhere in there.
I can give you the dates that I'm not available, and I'm hearing you schedule. And remember, for a town hall, we don't all have to be here for a town hall. As long as 3 of us can attend, you can have a town hall.
and the rest of us can watch it on video.
We don't need 3 to do it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's not actually a meeting.
So timeline for draft strategic direction document would be, I'll just say it right now, how about December council?
Yeah. I would say,
Does that sound good? We need a timeline.
Yeah,
This
that's
is till the end of the year.
right. No, I'm all for that. When's your next meeting, Counselor?
Well, we'll have to come up with we'll have to come up, I mean, it sounds like what we want to do is town hall next, so.
So come up with a town hall meeting idea, how to get through all that. And then clear that with you beforehand. I can work with, Line and whoever to start that process and get it cleared that that's the right direction through all of it. I think we need to get some more information on some of these things. Staff can sit here and study and give you some more information about things that were important with the sacred project. And bring that in there. We can have a discussion about how to get advanced information. If you want to ask the public questions prior to the meeting so that we can prep for them, that's a possibility. We're just talking about. Put that together, come up with some dates.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd be for doing that, but we probably need a month to get that figured out.
Yeah.
So we'd be talking August.
I can work with August.
I can work with August, most of August.
Early-ish August.
Yeah. I would like all these saved so we can put them up on the
Yeah,
town hall.
absolutely.
So they can see what we've done, how we've done it. And they can be part of that.
Let's talk about time of day and day of the week. If council has preferences.
I'm not, there's no one day that's better than me as long as I'm in town.
Public.
Well, and I was thinking about the staff.
Yeah, I mean, midweek or weekend is what are you thinking?
What do you all think?
Like you did in the past, 5 or 6 o'clock, the firehouse.
Those were all midweek.
You think that's best? And
I know, that's-
wherever you got.
We had one in the
most
middle of the
people.
day and some people lost their minds over it, so it's not great for staff, but.
Middle of the day wasn't great, but
Okay,
evening,
But then evenings aren't great for some people either, so there's no perfect solution for everybody, but
sometimes I have to get it
evenings,
right there between after dinner and before cocktail hour.
let's just do it 5 or 6 o'clock on a weeknight. 5 or 6 o'clock on a weeknight, probably a Tuesday through Thursday, best.
I agree.
I want to make just one comment because I think that this is very productive and I think it's good to have the input. But what I just want to caution you is that those most important needs up there are the same needs that keep getting brought up all the time. I mean, they are already on all of lists, some of them percentage wise, some of them other ways. The most important thing right now is that in 2 to 5 years, we must have a revenue source in order to even just pay our regular bills without even dreaming about.
Increasing any services.
Yeah, but by the end of this fiscal year. Yes. And
No, I
so the revenue piece, as far as the budgeting, there was a survey that was put out on 1 Million Friends. It was put out anonymously. And I thought very constructively done. They did put some editorials in there, but overall did very well. And they came up with voting and a poll, the things that they thought that the city should look at, which was revisit short-term rentals, increase the water bill, cut expenses at City Hall, and hold a bond levy. So they did like a little informal poll themselves, which I think is great. Because I think that the key is that if the community, like Preston says, if the community doesn't buy in, if they don't think that what we're doing is right, they aren't going to buy in to any of it. Because I think everybody wants to see their community improved.
Okay, so it would be great to flesh that out a little bit. So if, for instance, cutting expenses at City Hall.
Well, I mean, I'm not advocating for that,
No,
but what
I
I'm
know
saying, the whole body, like when you have a formula, the whole body matters. So it's like, do you believe that efficiency, do you believe that these projects need to be done in order to do this? This is how it has to be moved forward. So I believe you have to have the most important things, and I believe you have to have the revenue, but you have to have the community say, yes, we do support it. Otherwise, they're just gonna rip it apart again. Because the budget, if people would come to the budget committee and listen and hear that, the budget gives us our roadmap. It's where we want to be and where we want to go. But what the budget doesn't translate that way. That's why you need it in this format, because it doesn't translate. It translates it in line items and numbers that people don't understand.
Those people can't even balance their own budget.
Many can't, but I feel like the committee just did a really good job, and they want to support these things. And they want to move forward with revenue sources, but they also, want to make sure that the community supports it.
So do you think there would be value in having citizens budget committee to make recommendations?
Sure, I don't think that that's a bad idea. I mean, I think that's potentially a good idea. Paulina had brought it up that maybe the budget committee should meet. Maybe they should talk about it. Like, these are people who sit through 2.5-hour meetings, hearing you hear from community members, community grants who need money, you hear from staff who need, see things. So I don't think that that's necessarily a bad idea. I think that getting the public and getting them in and making sure that they understand we're having a crisis and that the crisis needs to be resolved, and we want them to help us resolve it. We don't want them to think that we're veering off path or trying to tax them to death or, make it an uncomfortable community for them.
But how do you get them to, I mean, at the budget meetings, there were probably 5 people sitting, spectators.
It's very difficult.
Well, that's the thing, I mean, they participate or they don't, you
That's
give them
where-
the opportunity, you can't force them, and
That's where
that's all you can do.
Yeah, that's where you become an elected official. And you
Well,
say, I have to make a decision. And
I foresee that if we had a budget committee that would meet and go through that toolbox, that would not include us. It would not include Chad.
So just to be clear, we're not talking about the budget committee that comes up with our budget, we're talking more about a fiscal planning committee.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you, that's a
that's a
great way to put it. And we can ask the citizens who are on the budget committee if they would like to do that, because they're good minds, right?
yes.
Really good minds.
And
So
I've
they
heard terminology.
definitely should be asked, but I think that other people in the community should be asked as well.
So is this in lieu of, before a town hall?
No, I think the town hall is a great way to introduce this. To say, hey, this is, we're having a financial crisis. If they post it out on surveys, it's not a lie. We don't have enough revenue to cover expenditures.
And I think the way that you say it, we need your help. Okay, come to the meeting. Give us your input, be part of the solution.
Be engaged.
So I think that that's a great idea to start with town hall.
It's the communication piece. How do we get it out? How do we get it out?
I would say that it'll allow us to give financial planning group direction too. This is the feedback we've already received. These are the problems we need help in solving.
These are some of the solutions that were presented to us.
You run them out, you do the work on this and tell us what you think is viable. and what isn't.
That's all I got.
We need to do it quick, Joe. I sent you my dates.
Jeremy. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paulina.